I'm going to show you binding off for weaving. Now we go ahead and turn the loom so that our last row of weft is here in the bottom left-hand corner. We grab our crochet hook and we start with our first row of strands. You can just lift the first loop up with your fingers. The first one is always the hardest. And then we pull it off of the peg. Now we grab our second loop with the crochet hook and pull it off of the peg. And you want to make sure you get both of the strands that are on the peg onto the crochet hook. And then we crochet them together by pulling the bottom loops over the top loop. And again, we go to the next peg. We pull the loop off and we slide the bottom loop over the top loop. And we just keep working this way until we get to the corner, and I'll show you how to turn the corner. So the first corner that we're going to turn is really simple. You're going to do it in the same way that we've been doing the rest of the pegs. You'll just pull off this last loop onto the crochet hook, pull the bottom loop over the top. You can turn your loom around if it's a little easier. Then you just grab the next loop off the peg, pull the bottom loop over the top loop, and you just keep going, working the loops in the same way all the way until we get to the next corner. Now we're approaching the next corner that we have to turn. You'll notice that this is the corner that has the contrast color peg where we started our warp. So we're just going to pull the slip knot off and kind of give it a little tug, undo the slip knot. So we just pull that yarn off and let it drop. We don't work that yarn, you just leave it there. We go ahead and turn the loom and start working the next side. Pull the loop off the next peg and pull the bottom loop over the top loop. You'll notice that it's a lot easier to pull the loops off the pegs now that we have two sides that are off of the loom. All right, and now we're approaching our next corner. This is the corner where we have two slip knots. We're just going to pull the slip knot off the peg, put it onto the crochet hook, and slide our bottom loop over the top loop. Now we're going to go ahead and turn the loom to finish our last side. We'll go ahead and pick up the slip knot that's here on the first peg, put it onto our crochet hook, again, pull the bottom loop over the top loop, and we continue working until we get to the last peg. And then I'll show you how to finish it off. As we approach the last corner, we'll just leave the last loop on the crochet hook. Now we grab our tapestry needle, we take our two yarn tails, we go ahead and thread the tapestry needle. Now we thread our tapestry needle through the loop on the crochet hook. We can pull our crochet hook out from the loop. Now we thread our tapestry needle through the bottom of the first stitch. We come back around and thread our tapestry needle through the bottom of our last stitch. This way, we mimic the rest of the stitches around the edge so it looks seamless. And now we just weave in our ends and we're finished.